today we have a very interesting and historic moment in a WITT platform. WITT platform which is talk about what India thinks today. And today we also try to recognize and justify what India thinks today. Today our discussion point is a roundtable discussion about India and football and brand and how the cooperation make the Indian football, Indian sports in a next level. I just introduced with my panelist Markus Kraetschmer, is a former CEO of Austria, Wien, one of the largest leading football club in Austria. And I'm also introduced Ms.Julia Farr. She is the Asia head of Borussia Dortmund, one of the biggest German football club. And also with me, Naubert. He's a chief marketing officer of one of the best league of the world, Bundesliga. And with me, none other than Mr. Jayen Mehta. Mr. Jayen Mehta is the MD of Amul, and Amul is a household name in every Indians from rural to urban. And recently, Amul has taken a lot of initiatives of develop sports and making Amul as a global brand with in the football. So let's start our discussions about how Indian football and the brand together with the corporate support and with the leader of football can join hands with Indian corporates to make India as a Make in India brand to the world of football too. So let's start with Pierre.
So representing Bundesliga, we are the second biggest Bundesliga and the second biggest football league in the world. We have identified India as one of our key markets a couple of years ago. We started a lot of different conversations and a lot of different activities together with our clubs. And what we truly believe in is football development, so that we would love to support any kind of grassroots activities as well as anything where we can also help the governing bodies or institutions to professionalize or to develop their current status to the next level. So what we have done concretely over the past 12 months is inviting the U17 national team from the AIFF to Germany. We had them in the market for almost 3 weeks. They spent time at 2 different Bundesliga clubs, were trained there with the local youth coaches and played at the end of the week against the respective peer group teams in order to help them to get to the next level, which was very successful. It was successful in 2 ways. A, we created amazing content, which resonated highly with the local audience in India. And at the same time, the coaches were really happy, the Indian coaches, but also the German coaches were really happy to develop the football skills, but also to develop intercultural skills between the youth teams, because the German teams also learned a lot from the Indians. So it's not a one-way street, it's rather bilateral cooperation. In addition to that, we also signed an MOU with the government of Maharashtra, where we will announce a couple of amazing things, where we will do a lot of football development projects in the future. And that's just the beginning. So we are the most active league in the region of APEC when it comes to football development and supporting grassroots activities. And obviously, we believe truly in the power of football and that sport can unite people and cross any borders.
Yeah, and thank you, Pierre. That's thanking for the points to your league camp popular among the Indians down to the people in the rural areas. I just to add on to that, recently have this Bayern Munich has organized, Bayern Munich Maharashtra government and TV9 has organized a wonderful youth tournament under 14 where 100,000 kids participated, 4,000 schools and around about 136 venues and 36 districts too. So, and this cue of the point, Mr. Mehta, what about the Amul as now also it's a very, when we heard about Amul as taking care of the Argentine and Portugal team, supporting and other sports activity, it's a proud for our countries. India's not, now we are growing our brand to the world of football, to reaching out more. It's a fantastic, you have created a rather history in the corporate world to creating in football can be a good tool to, it suits because it's kids, it's talk about the life. And what is the thought come to when you have idea of doing Argentina Messi and Ronaldo rather, to be in Amul board. How do you feel it?
Having said that, Amul, as you know, is a cooperative owned by 36 lakh farmers or 3.6 million farmers of Gujarat. India is now emerged as the most populous country in the world. And today, when we say when half of India is less than 25 years of age, you imagine there will never be any time in his future, in our mankind's history, that more than 700 million people of an age less than 25 will be living in a planet at the same time like this. Sports is very important for the overall health and growth of a nation, and Amul as a brand which obviously serves nutrition to billion consumers also values this kind of a relationship and association in building sports. Cricket is known as the sports of the nation. Everybody in the country follows cricket, but when you look at the young generation, football has a lot of passion. So that's where we come in, and not just cricket or football. We try to look at every single opportunity in sports, be it volleyball if a league is concerned, or when ISL came up, we started with the initial sponsors and supporters of the football league also, or be it kabaddi, or be it Indian Olympic contingents or contingents to the Asian Games and Commonwealth. Over the last decade and more, we've tried to seriously associate ourselves with all the events, global, national and local, to see that we become a part of the India's growth story as far as the sports is also concerned, and try to make our nation and our young generation stronger and more powerful to compete with the best in the world.
Yeah, Mr. Mehta, just to elaborate, you have a fantastic legacy of oneness with the people, from the story of Gujarat, all the farmers together. This is one of its kind. And Mr. Korean as a milkman in the world, which is something great initiative. What about thought about how your Amul, one side is have you Argentina, Portugal as a brand, and also other football industry of the world, and how you connect this, like what Pierre said, they have a cooperation with Maharashtra government to the deep-rooted football culture to develop, to grow a professional structure, to get own ecosystem. How Amul can, like you have the classic example as a company growth story with the togetherness. So, and also it's called talk about the sports because somehow it's called sporting spirit, togetherness of all leadership. So how you have any idea, any thought process to cooperate with such a, about how the football, any other sports to make a rural area to come forward, like infrastructure development or a little bit on support them to grow in a right structure?
So there are two dimensions to your question. One is our thinking of taking on the world and getting an acceptance in the international marketplace, and B, connecting the sports with the rural and the youth of the country. The first part comes in very handy when you associate with global teams and global players during global events. So FIFA was one classic example when we tied up with Argentina, we tied up with Portugal. Both have stars of their own country in their own right, and that helped us resonate and connect with them.
They are very popular in India
so
too.
Same in the World Cup cricket, which was recently held, we tied up with 3 international teams, be it Afghanistan, be it South Africa, or be it Sri Lanka. And that's what is the template we've been following, so that at least the brand gets a visibility internationally. And that's how it helps us when India has to become a dairy to the world and Amul has become the brand of the world. We need to connect with the audience, and sports is one seamless way of telling people that here is a brand which knows the game.
Taste of India.
Taste of India, and more importantly connects with the youth, and that's how you create a market out of it. The other part which he just mentioned was connecting with the grassroots, and that's where we come in handy because we are practically there in every single village of Gujarat. So our farmers are there, and when the farmers are there, of course, the children are also part of this ecosystem. So this is one way of a grassroots rural connect, which comes naturally to us because of a physical presence of procuring milk twice a day from each of these villages. So any initiative which is done to go to the grassroots and connect with the youth, pick up the right talent. And you as you must, I'm sure they are not aware, but we can explain to them that the way in which state governments have taken up sports in a big way, the Khel Mahakumbh that we talk about, bringing in rural talent, giving them a platform, setting up infrastructure in rural areas, and nurturing talent of multiple sports. So the performance of India in the recently held Olympics or the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Games,
the young sports,
yes, and all the other areas of sports is been pretty good, and we have perhaps had the best ever medal tally so far in the history. So this is how grassroots sports and nurturing of talent happens. Football is one great sport because it requires very little infrastructure. the spirit of cooperation
kick a
in
ball and
playing
be a
infrastructure, and more importantly the visibility. And you also need energy, which brands like us can of course provide. But that's a very, very strong platform to start working with grassroots players.
So your contention to Amul also one side to make it India to the global as a brand, and also global to be local, and they can mix together to make it a brand India. In this context, Julia, I'd like to discuss it, because Amul is also a brand from they created a cooperative culture, and this means a rural area. And you are coming to India as a mission to have girls football, empowering girls football. It's not like a football to play, it's a worldwide women football resonate as empowering women in the world of humanity or in the society. So you have tried your experience in Maharashtra and Pune with the rural girls in various places. Just explain how felt that one side that we are talking about empowering women power to get football as a tool to can enhance their things. Like what do you say that Amul is a classic example. The women is the major force to bring what Amul today. Am I right, Mr. Mehta?
Yes,
so this is the idea how we can collaborate. My first question to you? How felt you have you workshop with girls in women's football in India, in Maharashtra, of course in India, and also the rural areas? What's your impression? Because you have seen the girls football and in Germany and Singapore, and took all the football. What is the impression that girls are really, because Mr. Mehta is a corporate person and also a social corporate person. I would say Amul is the classic example of social entrepreneurship. Am I right?
Yes.
So this is today's discussion is all about not a discussion which fruitless our way. It's a discussion with a meaningful impact to our viewers, ourselves too. So you can explain about what is the experience.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, I think wherever we go in the world, we see passion for football. And I think that's what we heard. Football unites people. Football brings people together, connects, no matter who you are, where you're from, what you are. So I think that's a very, very important point. And when I came to India, to Pune, you mentioned it, and I had a couple of days with the girls and also the female coaches, I saw a lot of love for the game. But also still some insecurities. So you could tell from the girls they love the sports, but they always felt a bit like behind. And for me to come out and then to tell them, you don't have to feel that way. You are equally good. You are equally, or you deserve equally the same as the boys do. And you can do it. You just have to believe in yourself. And I think I've seen a lot of smiles after the couple of days that we had together. And that was melting my heart a bit. And I'm looking forward to go back and to continue this path for them and to try to inspire them further. Yeah, and to step out of India maybe even one day.
Yeah, that's a very good idea we talk about. One point is emotional quotients and our psychological impact. In other portion is important is how do you feel that this, in spite of a lot of obstacles rather to not come up with a fear factor, not infrastructure-wise, not a mental support. Still, how felt there as talent level and a sporting point of view?
I mean, I said just now, there was a lot of passion, but there's also a lot of talent there.
This is important.
The potential is massive.
Yeah.
You have seen they know what they do on the pitch.
Yeah.
They have played a brilliant football. And I told them they have to continue this, but for them it's also important to get the exposure outside of Pune, outside of their area. So, and I think that's where we all come to place and where we all can start providing those girls opportunities to get this exposure outside of Pune with tournaments coming in, playing against other regions, other schools, or even come out of India and travel to Germany or Austria one day and play there.
Yeah, I'm just taking this point what you, Julia, is taking about. I have a little experience about the last May, there's a 20 boys. I told you about the FC Bahrain Maharashtra Cup. We organized 20 kids out of Maharashtra. These 20 kids visited Germany with one of the government, few players in the government sponsored they have. And when they came up, they stayed 5-6 days there, but when they come up back to India, and unbelievably, they are till now unbeaten as a team. The difference which I found, not that 5-6 days they went there and have a huge training, no. The difference came in their mind, they can believe of themselves, yes we can. So this is the impact we have seen in a life cycle. That's why Bundesliga now in bigger cooperation, Bundesliga coming into the picture to organize a bigger value to it. And what I like to say, Mr. Mehta, that regarding the women power empowering and also Amul's philosophies, how do you Amul can have you said to, because you are rightly said, you have perhaps the only company in the world who has this kind of direct ecosystem, which is talk about the thing. And the women power, how you think about the women empowering with, maybe football is one of the tool, and also girls football is growing very fast. If you see the statistics, last Girls World Cup is amazing figures in Australia, highest viewers. And if you see last Euro Cup, Women's Euro Cup, Germany and England, Wembley, I think highest attendance in ever, not as men's sports have it, men's football. So you're a perfect combination. What about what Julia's talk about? If you enlighten from Amul point of view or an Indian company point of view, Amul is, of course, you're president, but your company is a very unique propositions. You are more a social entrepreneur rather than body corporate, what do you talk about? Am I right to explaining? So this kind of stuff, how you felt that which enhance the empowering the rural, not only economy, rural life?
Yes. No, it's a very important point, and as she mentioned about getting girls on board, same as happening to cricket these days, and we have this Women's Premier League also run by the Board of Control of Cricket in India. And when this was announced last year, we jumped in to become a partner to that event also. So obviously anything to do with women and empowerment, see the talent is there. All you need is a platform, all you need is training, all you need is infrastructure, but all you need is confidence, which you rightly mentioned. Then rest of the things will fall in place. Sports, fortunately, and commercial sports have the resources available. All you need to channelize them. And this is where brands can come in, this is where the governments can come in, this is where our international partners can come in. And obviously the stage is there for everyone to perform. And you will see the results in the shortest possible time.
I'm asking now a slight different question to you, Mr. Mehta, because now there is a contradiction of India traditionally happens. Any sports, football or whatever, and the cricket after the World Cup, cricket money come after World Cup 83. Yesterday our sports minister also about before the 1983 there was no money at all, and then the scenario changed. What I'm trying to take, everybody in a corporate world, they talk about the CSR that have to in sports. And now you also invested quite a lot of money in sports, in various sports. I'm talking about cricket, football, and other sports. As a brand, it's purely a kind of ROI on the brand and returns. So you are a classic example when you invest in on sports. I mean, sports is not a component for India, or it's a global component, whatever you want. So this global context, did you feel your ROI to invest on sports as a brand, how you felt on that? This is interesting.
No, it's an important question because brands have limited resources to spend on advertising, brand building and so on. But then you put in where the consumer is and you follow your consumers. So and as I mentioned, if the youth of India follows football, like cricket, then it's better to be in that space so that you are able to catch them at the right place. There is always an opportunity cost. Then instead of A, you do B or C or D. But as a brand which otherwise has a TG of a housewife, if in sports you get a value for money proposition with a long-term interest for the brand, staying on future course, trying to look at the future customer, also it dovetails with the product range. That if you are developing a product range which is suitable and fit for that kind of a segment, milk is a superfood, obviously best for nourishment, nutrition, and the power which a sportsman requires. And then the power of protein you add into it. If you are able to launch products in that space, then it's a combination of both having the consumer at the right place, with the product mix at the right place and the investments at the right place. So every brand would evaluate that. For us it comes very logical and naturally because our product itself, a core product itself is so beneficial for the sports fraternity and a normal consumer alike.
So you mean to say, Mr. Mehta, that your company is a classic example to investing on sports, not a CSR,
yes.
It's a purely commercial ROIs, and
yes.
You have satisfied what you've invested and your ROI is higher. One side is the brand positioning and also other side is enhance your sales process. You're happy with investing in sports. That message has to go to the our corporates too.
Yes. And let me put it other way, and that's it's a secret sauce. These days media is fragmented.
Yeah.
Okay. So what works best in media is either the live news, which you're already there, or the live sports.
Yeah.
And to be omni-channel, so to say, being visible across different things, be it on the mobile phone or be on television or being on social media and digital. being visible on the ground and association with the teams is a very good proposition. We evaluate all sorts of things, and this is what is the...
It's must express that Mr. Mehta's statement about Amul is happy with investing in sports, not only a CSR activity, it's all about the purely commercial activity to hiring other endorsements, value. It would make a more value to an opportunity, what you said, opportunity cost. There's a fantastic message to our Indian corporates, our world of corporates, to talk about sports, of course, at a bigger scale. And this context come to Markus. He have the whole experience of running Austrian Bundesliga. You have been there. So your experience of being a CEO, and now you're coming up with your experience, and now felt now the football or any sports need a football and education together to penetrate the society, because everything under society. What your own take on, because you have been seen as a CEO point of view as a club, at a big club, what needed, and now you're coming up your position, and now become like a more advocacy and visions on to develop the structure of football in India onto education pyramid and also the infrastructure for the kids.
Thanks for being here. I guess very interesting to listen to my partners here on the table. I guess we see it from two different point of views. The one is for sure, sports is always, I want to be successful. And therefore, we need good education in sports. Therefore, we have good academies. Therefore, we have initiatives like Borussia Dortmund going international, things like this. But education is very, very important, because only, let's say, 5%, 3% of them who started the career will really be at the end a professional. But so on the one hand side, sports is a very good education, but we, as the clubs, but also as the companies, and therefore we founded the idea of the education pyramid. For those who cannot be successful in sports, we have to provide them a good education. Therefore, for sure, we need the partners, because on the one hand side, the sports is educating the people to become in competition for later on, but for sure, they need a basic education. And if they stop playing soccer, for example, because they're injured, because they fell out, because the family has to move, it's important to have education. And therefore, nowadays, in digitalization, also on the international way. And therefore, there is a good initiative in Austria. It's called the RISPO Academy. It's a private university. It's a pyramid from the different levels, giving them the chance to grow up, and therefore getting partners also for the international partners, bringing, let's say, the kids, and this is what Julia mentioned before, outside Pune, outside, let's say, India, bringing them to other countries, giving them self-confidence, what happened with the boys who played in Bayern Munich. But on the other hand side, never forget we have to educate them, and we have social responsibility beside the sportive responsibility. And I guess these are good initiatives, and it could be done, but for sure it should be supported either by the public, by departments, or by companies like Amul. So it's great to listen to this, and it's very, very important that we let's say, offer programs like this. I guess it's not the job of Amul to create something, but it's the job of the clubs and private initiatives to giving the platform. But you mentioned before, you have a very young population. Soccer is very popular, but also other sports, like when you see volleyball or basketball. But giving the kids via the sports the possibility to go out, learn the international way, and be well educated. And I guess this is one of the good initiatives.
Yeah, definitely, Markus, you're talking about the football and education together. Now, in this Q2, I ask you a pair. The Bundesliga has, you have said, a lot of synergies. It's a composition, like today's Amul. Amul is a composition of people. It's owned by the people. And you have, how many, Jens, what do you have to talk about?
3.6 million.
3.6 million. And one common thing between Bundesliga and Amul, the Bundesliga owned by 36 clubs right now. Am I right? Yes. So when 36 is common. Yes. 3.6, I'm 36 is not right one, but 3.6 and 3.6. The two digits are common. So what I'm, Pierre, because you have the social engineering which is coming to India, because India is also democratic in setup, in mind, and also corporate culture. How do you, what Mr. Mehta said, that the ROI is fantastic for him as a sports, as a tool, and like a league, you're a professional league. How do you invest on like creating a property in India? to help with the corporate to build, because Amul is initially a company in India, of course they're globally, but what about plan to make these Indian companies such as Amul to have some property with Bundesliga or German football can offer India, so they can, Indian population can nourish this our own property with a setup. What are your take on that?
Going one step back and drawing the comparison between the cooperative and the German Bundesliga club system, where we have 36 clubs owning the league, and those 36 clubs are fully owned by the fans.
Yes.
So
Wow.
this is
Same
pretty
thing.
much same
Common.
thing.
I think that's
Not
right.
3.6 million, but if we add up all the members of German clubs, of the 36 clubs, we are roughly at 1.8, 1.9 million. So
Oh, that's very
50%
good.
of
That's
what
very
you have. But then listening on to what you said, and also Markus, what you said, in terms of the ROI, I mean, we are very different organizations, but we have pretty similar objectives and targets. And you have a completely different position in India as we have, but we are a global leader in terms of football. You're a global leader in terms of dairy products. And we are also conducting marketing activities following an ROI in India based on grassroots. So this is what we have in common and where we can definitely build IP together. And this is where we, I think, can exactly achieve what Markus pointed out in terms of giving something back to the society, helping the society, young people to grow into a healthy future, because I think health is a very important topic for the future. And looking at those 700 plus million young people you were referring to, we see in our research that there are more than 320 million football fans in India, of which more than 40% are, I think, under 25.
Absolutely.
So then you
Its
see
maths are perfectly fitting in well.
significantly increasing age bracket, and this is what we are targeting in order to make sure that we tell our stories, tell the very specific stories about the Bundesliga, about Bundesliga clubs such as Borussia Dortmund, and trying to get into as many people's heads as possible. And ideally, we would always, team up, not with strong partners, because if we're going to do it on our own, it's going to be very, very tricky, and it's going to be a long, long, long way. But I think together with major partners, it definitely makes sense and would help all people sitting on the table in order to achieve their objectives.
That's the whole idea of this go round table to what India thinks today. That's why today means when you are today, it's 2 days over. We only talk about tomorrow. So that's the whole idea. And we're just wrapping up the show. Just before the wrapping up, the two things from one thing from Julia, and also wrapping up to Mr. Mehta. Julia, you talk about the women power empowering football and connecting the football is a tool. And the football is the biggest tool to social engineering too. Like you're talking about football to reach the rural areas, like Amul and Mr. Mehta's company organization has a huge women empowering with 3.6 million people and farmers. Then at least you reach the women more. So in football, you also a lot of issues can be addressed in your program, so they can health, hygiene, because when you're empowering women, it's always empowering its home, because women are predominantly manager of the home. So it was any objective and idea you have in mind. So through football can be a good educating tool to make it home beautiful.
Of course,
through women.
Of course, 100%. I think we heard that before. Football should be a holistic education or a holistic development. It's not just training and playing football and enriching your skill set that you have. It's everything. We have, especially as clubs or leagues or organizations, we have the responsibility to look into their social well-being as well, and their personality and character building. And I think this is where we come in place, and where we help those younger kids, no matter if it's boys or girls, to develop themselves and to showcase who they are and to be confident. And if you bring them into football, you connect them first, and then you can use this as a tool to give them nutrition advice, education advice, everything that comes into place to be a better person. And you don't need a successful career in sports, but you can have so much more.
I just wrap up with Mr. Mehta. Amul has a perfect example, which is you mentioned that we are the shackle, we have to barrier. Our shackle is sports is just a CSR. You are making a way to the Indian corporates and Indian captains of the corporate. No, football or any sports is not a charity. It's a perfect composition to brand to have your ROI. So you have your message to the corporate world and also the football world. They are the managing football in a bigger way. So I want to bridge through your last statement.
No, I think you've summed it up well. And this is where, there is a lot of money per se if one looks from the marketing side of it also. And the happiness and joy of country rising up the ranking tables as far as certain sports are concerned, which we are not so very strong, is actually much more priceless. So the kind of investments the country is looking at into getting its overall ranking higher up in the place, and a predominant index of growth and development is a good performance in sports also. India and Ahmedabad, for instance, our city in Gujarat, the capital city next to Gandhinagar is Ahmedabad, the biggest city of Gujarat, is looking at hosting Olympics in 2036, is 12 years down the line. So if we have an Olympic dream, then association with the best sporting events and giving a message to the generation of India that as a country, if we can do it, this is the best chance for us to showcase to the world. So I think let's hope for the best for our Indian Olympic dream, as much as our dream and goal of making every young Indian a very promising teenager or a boy or a girl in the field of sports, comes whatever sports it may be. But definitely soccer, yes, is one of the biggest games which Indians enjoy. And an attitude of nurturing sports is what we need as corporates and as citizens of the country.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta, for your wonderful insights and a visionary way. And I think this of your vision should percolate and translate to the many, many Indian corporates, and also man from pair, India lover, Julia, recently fall in love with India. Markus also recent Indian followers or lovers. So you're all Indian together. Today's what India thinks today should pledge to have a better future for our next generation. Set a goal. And football is a wonderful stock. It's football ultimate is a goal. Life is also a goal. Thank you.
Thank you.